Hey everyone, this is Disc Junkie, and today I'm back to review Studio S and the Video Violence, released by Studio S Entertainment in 2010. Now, this is a box set which I received as part of a sponsorship deal. It was sent to me for free as a reviewing copy from my good friends over on subdvd.com. So if you want to get this box set, or if you want to know more about it, go to subdvd.com. There's a link in the underbar, and there you can purchase it for, international shipping. And well, for those of you who don't know what Studio S is, Studio S was a TV debate program which ran back in the 70s and 80s, and it would bring up certain, controversial topics that they would discuss with a live studio audience. Despite there being a lot of different topics at hand in this program series, the one that's most notorious is a program that ran on December 2nd of 1980, and the basic concern of all the people involved in the debate was that with the success of video rental stores popping up all over the place, young kids were suddenly being able to rent really violent movies, and parents which were brought into this debate and were in the studio were very worried that their kids could easily access really violent horror movies like the Texas Chain Saw Massacre, the Toolbox Murders. I mean, it's not like these parents had actually seen any of these films, but, well, a lot of them just felt that, there had to be a ban or some kind of law regulations to control these movies. Because back then, just like it was in the UK, there wasn't really any censorship for video. This was a brand new format that, people just didn't really know what to make of it. And suddenly you could get these uncut horror movies in your home just by going down to the rental store. So, well, what happened was that after this TV broadcast, where movies like the Texas Chain Saw Massacre, Terror, Tourist Trap, Boogeyman were brought up as sort of examples, a lot of these movies basically got banned in Sweden for many years, and there was actually a new set of laws which were brought in around 1984, which stated that all movies now had to be sent in for censorship, basically. And a lot of movies were cut down, but the Texas Chain Saw Massacre, which was like the prime example in this TV broadcast, was actually banned in 1984, and it would take as long as 17 years until the film was actually released uncut in Sweden. So the Texas Chain Saw Massacre wasn't actually released uncut until June of 2001. But anyway, I'm gonna try to stop talking about this whole debate thing, because I feel that I need to review the box set as well. And now a company which is called Studio S Entertainment, and this is of course a company which stole its title off of the infamous TV broadcast program, has released 6 out of the 7 movies that were sort of used as prime examples on the show. And the box set also includes the actual TV broadcast of Studio S, and this is also the very first time that that program has been released on DVD or on any format at all. But now I'm gonna get into showing you the box, so yeah. First up, we get a cardboard slipcase. It's quite thin, but it is sort of a glossy style slipcase, and I for one really like this design. I mean, a lot of the times you might not think that you get such a good design for these sort of combo packs where you get like a box set for horror movies in general, but I think that this works very well. For one thing, they've actually used a logo which is basically taken from the original broadcast. This is basically what the logo looked like when the program was broadcasted, so I think that's a very good idea. And then you got sort of a very retro-esque look with a bunch of old TVs and a VCR there. So yeah, I really think that this is it's a well-designed box set, and definitely a very fun release for horror fans in Sweden. So here we got the back cover. I'm just gonna run this bio because it's actually an 8-disc set. And for starters, we have disc 1, which features the infamous Studio S broadcast, and we also got another small segment which was featured many years later in 2002, which was called the Studio S Scam. And this was basically a program which debunked the fact that many of these segments that Studio S sort of orchestrated with their own sort of reporters, where they were going to schoolyards, talking to young kids, and these kids were like, yeah, I've seen the Texas Chain Saw Massacre, it's awesome. When you look at it today, it's just really, really ridiculous segments, and you can't believe that people actually believed them. But yeah, the kids that were on this schoolyard and sort of talked about all these horror movies and the way it affected them, this is a small segment where they came back on TV many years later when they were grown-ups, and actually, told people that, it was all a scam. They told us what to say, and it was all an act, and a lot of horror movies got banned because of it. So really interesting segment, and I'm glad they included it because it's such a big part of the entire story. So very well done there. Next we have a small documentary on video violence, which runs for about 10 minutes. There's 25 bonus trailers in here, and this features all the movies which were sort of, deemed as illegal or whatever, and that were actually brought up in Swedish court to, make a case of it or whatever. And last but not least on this one, we have a text-based extra, which is the Studio S debate day by day, and this is basically, just plain text in menu format, which goes through all the dates back from 1980 up to 2010 when this box set came out, and it goes through all these sort of effects and events surrounding the censorship and video violence and stuff like that. So that's a very, very interesting read. Unfortunately, it's all in Swedish, so this very first disc is actually not subtitled in English, which is such a shame because I'm sure there's a lot of people internationally who would have loved to seen this subtitle for once, but yeah, not much you can do. Then we got disc 2 and 3, which is the Texas Chain Saw Massacre. It's a 2-disc set, and it's got a ton of extras, roughly like 4 hours. And this has also been released in Sweden before, so if you already own it on a Swedish DVD, it's not really worth getting. But if you don't own it, this is a really great box set. And the Texas Chain Saw Massacre, being the prime example, is also the one that has a really good set of extras, so yeah. Then we got disc 4, which features the Toolbox Murders. And this is a rather simple release. It doesn't have a lot of extras, basically like text-based stuff, trailer, things like that. And that's basically the same for the other movies in the collection as well, so it's just the Texas Chain Saw Massacre that actually has the second disc and a ton of special features. Disc 5 features The Boogeyman. And moving on, we got disc 6, which features Tourist Trap from 1979. Then we got disc 7, which is Eaten Alive, directed by Tobe Hooper. And finally disc 8, which features Terror from 1978. Now, these are 6 of the 7 films used as examples in the Studio S broadcast. The one that's not included is A Taste of Hell, which is from 1973. And I'm not really sure why that wasn't included. I'm guessing it's a rights issue, but either way, very cool. And now we're just going to take a look at the interior packaging. So as you can tell, it's basically just a replication of the outer cover. I don't particularly mind this. I think the outer cover is very well designed. For one thing, I really do like this sort of VHS clasp that they got sort of at the top. Just a very small detail, but very nicely done. I like it. And so here we got a sort of big, thick keep case, and I'm just gonna pop this open. There we go. Now, despite the fact that the Texas Chain Saw Massacre has been released in Sweden before, and that the 2 discs in this set are in fact direct ports off of the old edition, they have actually bothered to redo the disc art, which I think is really cool. First up, we got Studio S and the Video Violence. Then we got the Texas Chain Saw Massacre. This is of course the Swedish printed title. And then we got the 3rd disc, which is the 2nd disc of the Texas Chain Saw Massacre. Disc number 4, which is the Toolbox Murders, obviously also the Swedish printed title there. And flipping forward, we get to disc 5, which is Terror. And then we got Tourist Trap, printed in Swedish of course. Disc number 7, we got Eaten Alive, and last but not least, we got disc 8, which is The Boogeyman. Now, there's no real artwork behind the discs here, which, is a little bit disappointing, but at the same time, I don't particularly mind it. I think they did a really good job with the disc art, being very coherent. Plus, it's a cool and clever box set, and if you don't own these movies already, I think this is definitely worth the pickup. I mean, all the movies, apart from disc 1, they're all English friendly. There isn't any English subtitles on them, but I mean, they do all have English audio, so you can very well pick up this box set if you want to get like an interesting piece of a Swedish television history, so to speak. I don't know if you might be able to watch the Studio S program translated somewhere. It hasn't been released apart from this release, so if you're gonna watch that in an English friendly version, you might have to sort of go through some unorthodox methods for getting it. But anyway, I really hope you enjoyed this. I sure enjoyed talking about it. And last but not least, a really big thank you once again to my friend Nicholas over at Sub DVD. Just awesome that you can continue to send me some of these boxes for review. And well, really hope you enjoyed all this, and I hope to see you all next time.